out there. We need to be talking about this. We need to be voting. We really need to be voting. Moorhead did not vote for the president that is currently in. You know that, right? We're a blue city and always will be, frankly. We just seem to be getting bluer and bluer, but we need to make sure that everyone comes out and votes. So we talk to our neighbors, we talk to about people, and auditor, retired CPA. We should be best buddies. So I really encourage everyone to come and volunteer here. It's a fabulous place. They're just getting it going. It's all organized very nicely. Thank you, Athena. You've done a fabulous job. Really fabulous. She and I are really good friends, but can't seem to find time to ever connect at all because she is so busy.
Good over door knocking.
Yeah. So door knocking. Yeah, truth to be told, if you haven't door knocked, it really is. Moorhead is a very kind, respectful community, and you can be at a place with all of the other people's signs, and people will be kind to you, and you have an opportunity to let them know that we value certain things. We value healthcare, we value our education, we value our students, and we want to make sure that those become valuable things that continue in our state. And so I hope you will all tell people about what you heard tonight, that you tell them about how you're voting, and you encourage them to vote in the primary, and you encourage them to vote in November. So thank you, Moorhead.
Thank you, Mayor. So a couple other introductions before we go to our main speaker, who's going to be the next governor. I did want to acknowledge Sarah Watson Curry from the Moorhead City Council. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. She's got her little baby there. He's so cute. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Also, my really good friend and former colleague, the chairwoman of the North Dakota Democratic Party, the former chair, who is now running for tax commissioner statewide over in North Dakota. Kylie Overson is here. Thank you, Kylie, for being here. She came all the way across the border to see all of us. She's busy campaigning. Send her a donation because we need to get more Democrats elected out there in North Dakota. So, hey, I'm so excited to introduce our next speaker because you know what? When we talk about the impossible, she doesn't believe in the impossible. She believes that the impossible is always possible. She is a glass half full type of person. She believes very much in the future of this state. When we talk about the politics of joy, what does that mean? Right? It's not just about dancing on the stage like she did when she won that endorsement, which I loved, right? It's not just about always having a smile on her face and a sunny disposition. When we talk about the politics of joy, it is squarely about making sure that other people can feel that same joy. That at the end of the day, when they go home, they know they have someone that's their champion, that's lifting their voices, giving flight to their hopes, to their dreams, to their aspirations, so that when they go to sleep that night and they wake up that next morning, they are filled with joy because they know they have someone working hard on their behalf who's going to continue in Governor Dayton's fine legacy. And by the way, you know who endorsed Aaron Murphy? Governor Mark Dayton, amongst many other people. Listen, we need a joyful politics. Think about what's happening in this country. I can't even bear to turn on the news anymore and listen to all of this hate and this division. It's got to stop. And even in our own party, we have politicians, DFLers, who stand up and play to people's worst fears instead of their hopes. It's time we turn the corner. It's time we start talking about our hopes, what we want to see in this state, giving people a reason to be optimistic about politics again. When I started with Paul Wellstone 28 years ago, he inspired me to be involved in politics. He gave me hope that we can actually make a difference and that government can be a catalyst for change. That's what we need in our politics right now. Let's get rid of all the cynicism. Let's get rid of the cynical politicians. Let's get rid of people who don't believe that the impossible is possible. And let's get people like Aaron Murphy elected. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce our next governor, Aaron Murphy.
That's right. That's okay. I'm louder than that train. Thank you very much, Ken Martin. Like a train. I am delighted to be with you here in Moorhead. I'm thrilled to be back in Moorhead again, to see so many of my friends, to meet new people, and to encourage you, to urge you, to demand that we vote together on the 14th, next Tuesday. Who's going to vote? Anybody already voted? That's right, because early voting works. Thank you, Steve Simon, the guardian of our democracy. I am so excited about where we are in this election. I grew up in a family that taught me about a powerful kind of politics, and I know Ken Martin is talking about joy, and he's talking about optimism, and he's talking about hope, and those things all matter to me. But if that's not all grounded in the kind of power that I believe in, our power together, the power to make the kind of change that we believe in, the kind that supports us and our families, if our joy, if our hope, if our optimism isn't rooted in purpose together, then it is an empty joy. But when we remember that we stand together, when we stand up for what we believe in, when we stand up for a vision for the people of Minnesota, when we stand up and fight for our values, when we do that, that is how we win elections, that is how we build our future, that is what I want to do. When I'm elected to be the next governor or the people of Minnesota, I want to build a future. I want to do that with you. I ran for office 12 years ago. Thank you very much. 12 years ago I ran. 12 years after I took care of my mom at the end of her life. My auntie said at her funeral, you got to go do something about that healthcare system. And my something was run for office, right? We share that story together. Yes, we do. Too many people are experiencing what you are experiencing, what you've experienced, what I've experienced. We can fix that with the kind of politics that I believe in. 12 years ago, I decided to run. 12 years ago, a woman said to me, if you get yourself elected, remember your job is to represent the whole state, not just the district in St. Paul. And I have taken that to heart. And it is why I've been to Moorhead so many times, to knock on doors, to spend time in our clinics, in our schools, and with people who live and work here. Because I want to represent the interests of Minnesotans, and you can't do that authentically if you're not spending your time with the people of Minnesota. You have been my best teachers. You have taught me so much. And to the point, talking over that train was something. To the point of the kindness of people. I remember one of my very early knocks here, and it was a fall afternoon. I was knocking with Ben Lean. Well, Ben Lean was in a different part of the neighborhood, but I was with Ben Lean, and it was cold outside, and it was late. We had done a bunch of shifts that day, so the sun was starting to set, and I got to a door, and a woman came to the door, and I said, I'm here, I'm Aaron Murphy, I'm door knocking with Ben Lean, and she said, I'm making bread. Speaking of Ben Lean, there's my friend Ben Lean right there. I'm talking about you right now, Ben Lean. She said to me, I'm baking bread inside. Can I get you a slice of bread? Which she did. Minnesotans, thank you. Minnesotans are good and kind people. Not everybody, but most of us. But mostly what I've learned from the people of Minnesota is that we actually care about each other. We will actually stand up and fight for each other. We're going to fight for our communities, the place that we call home. That is true across the state of Minnesota, and I know that when we stand together, we can build a future for everybody in the state of Minnesota. That's what I am going to do. When I'm elected governor, I'm not going to just hang out inside the Capitol. I'm going to stay on the ground with the people of Minnesota, because the power of this office rests with the people. We are going to open up regional offices. We've been talking about this across the state of Minnesota. It's time to stitch us back together again. And the only way we stitch us back together again is if we start having better conversations together. Delray Williams, you've been a part of that with Mayor Rita Albrecht in Bemidji, and with Mayor Emily Larson in Duluth, and with Mayor Ben Shire in Fergus Falls. I have watched you your leadership across the state, talking about how we rise and fall together across the state of Minnesota. And when we're pitted against one another based on our geography or our gender or ethnicity or our politics, we get hurt. When we stand together and fight together for what we believe in, we are capable of anything. And I want to take on the toughest issues that we face, because we face some tough ones, don't we? We do. Strong public schools for our kids, absolutely, across the state of Minnesota. And let's close the opportunity gap and the funding gap to make sure all our schools are getting the funding that they need, so all our kids are getting the education that they need. I am a supporter of single-payer health care, and it's time to get us on a path, and we announced our path to single-payer health care, and I've got the head and the heart and the experience to get that done, and we will. And we're going to advance infrastructure, both human and capital infrastructure, right? Broadband, we've announced a plan to finish the job to connect Minnesota, and I've got a way to pay for it, because we should be connected together for our education, for our healthcare, for commerce, and for one another. But if we're not paying attention to the human infrastructure, the things that allow us to keep our jobs and support our families when we have new children, when we have elders who need our care, or when we have a sick loved one, if we have to choose between the care of our family and our job, that's no good for us. Paid family leave, effective and affordable child care, cherished elder care, in homes and in facilities that are well regulated, that allows us to keep our jobs and care for our loved ones. I want to do that, and I want to do that with you. But the most difficult issues that we face are the ones we've got to tackle together. Structural racism, gun violence, right? We can take that on, and climate change. We owe it to the next generations of Minnesotans to protect our clean air, to protect our clean water, to protect our soil, and to make sure we're making our contribution to slow climate change, to protect the place that we call home. And as I look at us, and I see you nodding your heads, I know that together we can do this. And it starts next Tuesday with our superpower, our vote. Our vote is our superpower. And when we use it for the good, when we use it because we believe, when we use it together, we can build that future, and that's exactly what I want to do. So I ask for your vote. I urge your vote. I demand that you vote, because when we don't, we get a president like Donald Trump, and when we do, we stand together and build our future. And know, when I am elected, I will work every single day for the state of Minnesota, for the people, for communities across the state, and we are going to see and build a bright future for all of us. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for believing in what we can do together. I'll talk to you soon.
Let's hear it for Aaron Murphy. Say, before we go, I want to bring up Ben Lean, though, because you know what? He's been out campaigning. We don't typically end with our state representative, but you know what? In 2012, when he was elected to the state legislature, I was so excited because he worked tirelessly to make sure we kept this seat, to make sure that we won that year, that we took this seat back, and he's been doing a great job ever since representing Moorhead, along with Paul Marquardt and Kent Eakin. They've been doing a great job on behalf of everyone in this region. Please welcome State Representative Ben Lean.
Well, thank you. I didn't intend to speak tonight. I kind of wanted to reserve the time for the primary candidates. And I apologize for being late. I was door knocking for another candidate, Lyle Coonan, down in Benson, Minnesota. And wouldn't you know it, I get off on 94, and what do I see? 2 trains. So, kind of the story of Moorhead. So, got to keep up that work on those underpasses. But really, just thank you all for the incredible work and the incredible support that you all have shown myself, Paul Marquardt, Kent Eakin the last couple of years, because with you all, we wouldn't be in the positions that we're in. And that's what we want to continue to do, is have those conversations with you all, reach out to you all, because this has to be a community effort. This has to be a together, united effort, because without that, the Republicans are just going to pick and pick and pick us apart. And that's exactly what we cannot let them do, because we need to stay Moorhead strong, we need to stay Minnesota strong, and we need to stay DFL strong, because we have the answers that are going to improve people's lives. We can't go out there and we can't campaign on not Trump. You know, we're not Trump, we're not Trump. We have to go campaign because we have something to make people's lives better. We have answers for affordable health care. We have answers for economic development out here in greater Minnesota. We have answers for education for everybody. And that's what we need to do, be getting out there, getting on the phones, getting out the doors, and letting people know what our message is to make their lives better. So let's keep this energy going. Let's keep this effort going. We have a big day ahead of us Tuesday, right through November, because really the big issue here is the Republicans. We cannot let Tim Pawlenty be governor for another 4 years. He already put us in the whole $8 billion, and then he went off to Washington and tried to run for president, lobbied. We can't let him have control of the governor's office anymore. So let's stick together. Let's be DFL proud. Let's be Minnesota proud. And thank you all again for all the support you've given.
Let's hear it for Ben Lean, everybody. He's done a great job putting you down in St. Paul. So you know what? We've seen rallies like this throughout the state today. And you know what else we've seen? As Aaron's opponents are traveling around, we have thousands of people right now as we're doing this rally, knocking on doors, making calls, talking to voters. Why am I convinced we're going to win? Because we have the ground game. We have the volunteers. We have the energy. We have the passion. And on Tuesday, I believe that we're going to win. And I'll tell you, you know, all the pundits thought after the caucuses as we headed into that convention, all the pundits and people who thought they understood politics said there was no way Aaron Murphy was going to win that endorsement. And a few weeks out, people started to believe. Aaron always believed. A lot of us always believed. But you know what? You started to sense that momentum. You could feel it building. You could sense it building all the way up to that convention when she got that endorsement and she started dancing on that stage. Wasn't that a wonderful moment? Wasn't that a wonderful moment? Let's make sure that Aaron is dancing again on Tuesday night by getting out there and working hard these next 4 days. Thank you so much, DFLers. Thanks for coming out. Thank you.
Win you over? DFL ticket? I already voted. Yeah, you can change it. One more day. One more day. I like that. Oh, I
Yeah, my neighbor, my windows. Hi. Murray Smart. I have a lot of them.
Oh, you're gonna bring it? I was like, give me the best boomerang. I know. Well done. Well done. Thank you. I was wondering what the format is. Yeah, that's good. Oh, maybe Are you ready? Oh, of you two? Oh, hold on. I want to do it by okay. By over here.